Cavalier faithful, welcome back on into the Cleveland Pulse YouTube channel. A 55-point victory in Game 4, 138-83. Justin, full series sweep concluded 4-0. Outside of the first 0 games, none of the games were really close. The first game, okay, let's before we go all on our high horse, before I let you take the floor. First game, Miami, somehow they put up a better fight in Cleveland. I don't know. Weather's too nice, too many exotic, extracurriculars.
Not enough to do at night.
Yeah, not enough to do at night. They're just all hanging out in their hotel room. The 2 games in Miami, absolutely abysmal. I mean, just you take it away from there.
I mean, Darius Garland comes out after game 2, stubs his toe, calls Tyler Herro out. Obviously, Eric Spoelstra gets fired up. I got worried after that, but then Tyler Herro comes out and talks a bunch of nonsense. And yeah, obviously, there's a lot to talk about the first playoff series with Kenny Atkinson at coach. I'm going to try and keep it a little bit tame here. I did send a picture to Jeff and Logan that I have already drank a full bottle of wine, but that will happen every series that we win. 3 more to go. Sam Merrill getting the start, game 3, game 4, with Darius Garland out, and just kind of something that we've never had before in playoff series is the bench just absolutely outperforming the other team's bench, outperforming the other team's star players at this point, and it really having an adverse effect on what Kenny's able to do in terms of managing the minutes here, because games 1 through 3, I made a note, and it wasn't really to take a jab at him, but to make a note, Isaac Okoro didn't really play this game until it was like a foregone conclusion in the third quarter.
True.
That it was over. And you can already see Kenny Atkinson is figuring out that there are certain lineups that are going to work against, and it's only the first series, but he very quickly went to Sam Merrill, and it was very apparent it worked very quickly. And so, I think they thought, hey, we can get better shots and better, percentages off of our threes, and then what they were clearly getting. So just a lot to go off of with this series. I thought it provided a lot of good, going forward information. Obviously, watching the Knicks and Pistons series going forward, a lot to gather there, but you like to see that the Cavs kind of get out with the Thunder as the 1 seeds ahead of all the other teams in the East. So great stuff.
Couple things here, and PZTV in the building saying good win. Yes, 100% for sure. Here's my takeaways, honestly, just to rapid fire it off to you really quick. Your major concern, if you have any in the series, is that Darius is hurt. That could be an injury to watch. Could he probably play? Probably. I think he actually probably could play. They just don't. There was no need to. Game 3, he probably couldn't play. Tonight, he probably could have played, but it's like, we know we don't really need you. Number 2, Cavs garbage minutes in the playoffs feel like back in the LeBron days. And so, some of the 15, 16, teams where you're like, oh my gosh, we're having, garbage minutes for the bench, and Javonte Green is trying to slam on people. It was just like so refreshing to see compared to last year for a 12-month span where the roster really does not change. Yes, you add Hunter. Yes, Jerome is healthy, and the big thing, obviously, is Atkinson is in the fold instead of JB Bickerstaff. The 12-month difference, not only the 1 seed, not only a top 3 record in franchise history, is that last year in the first round, you could not win a road game. And the 2 road games in the opening round this year, obviously you're the 1 seed, but they're blowouts. They're foregone conclusions, like you said. 2 things could be true at once. This is a historically dominant Cavaliers team. This is a really, really good 1 seed in the history of the NBA landscape, and I think we're going to see that moving forward. They still have some things to prove. Obviously, it's just round 1. My thing is, from just the NBA observer, I don't know what other evidence Silver needs to just get rid of the play-in. The play-in is abysmal. Just let the 1 play the 8. this is crazy, man. Like seeing the, in Miami, there's
getting
teams,
so much rest, and then the team that comes off of 8 has to play right away. It is a little.
It's stupid. It's like teams like franchises like Miami are literally built to sit around at 9, 8, 7, 8, 9, and 10 every single season and be in the plan.
It
like,
meant something when you had Jimmy, but like when you have Tyler
Jimmy
Hero,
Butler was right again.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to make it work. The thing that I really liked, and the only thing I'll give about finally like just getting a little bit of credit as the 1 seed, is listening to Doris Burke talk about the Cavs in a way that's like actually refreshing in the
not
sense of,
rude.
Like, well, no, it's like refreshing that she's like kind of enlightening people what they've done in the sense of how they built the roster. Like talking about Evan Mobley in the way that he plays his defense, not being like, oh yeah, he's the defensive player of the year. This is why, yeah, oh, you see it. She talks about him actually being able to go out on the guards and like being able to cover guys on pick and rolls and being such a unique defender, while also being able to go on the fucking other end and jab step and make a top 10 ESPN play on a what is he? Is he 23 or 24 years old? And this is like him being the number 2 guy in a very clear, like
23.
dominant performance of a 1 seed.
24 in June, so still 23.
It's outrageous. And I mean, it's like, again, it's good to have some people like enlightening the greater audience of what Cavs fans already kind of know about this team. It's like, hey, Darius Garland goes out. Do we have a Ty Jerome? Yeah, we have a Ty Jerome. And to be fair, Darius Garland, I told my dad today, I was like, if he honestly just came in and facilitated the offense and passed and ended up having like 14 and 10 as his stat line, I'd be perfectly fine with it. I really wouldn't care if he didn't score the ball that much, if he was just a CP3 like facilitator of the offense. And, Evan Mobley, I think it's very clear his rise was always unicorn-esque, and he's taken that leap to defensive player of the year. And I think he's already taking the step into, with Darius being out, the second man to Donovan Mitchell, who we should probably talk about a little bit here with his shooting and getting out of a funk in tonight's game.
Honestly, it's just like it's kind of tough to talk about. I know what you're coming from with the Mitchell. The Mitchell thing though is going to be Garland related to me because it's like Jerome is that guy though. Jerome has the swagger even in big moments to kind of compete with Donovan Mitchell getting the basketball, which is something I didn't think that it was even possible at the start of the season, but it has somehow materialized. I agree with you. My thing is just if this team, regardless if it's Don, if it's Mobley, if it's anyone, as long as they're taking quality shots, it's very difficult to beat us if we're playing competent defense and taking quality shots. Now, obviously, that gets maximized to the extreme because Miami, their offense was non-existent, and they had no answers anywhere. I said going into the series that I would give them one game. I said it was either 4 or 5 games, and the only reason I'm giving them one game is because of who they are as a franchise and an organization. That was it. They didn't do anything better than us at all for 4 games. They didn't shoot the ball better than us. They didn't defend the rim better. They didn't rebound. They didn't foul better. They didn't stay out of foul trouble. They didn't coach better than us. They didn't use the challenge. They did nothing. Complete destruction from tip off of game 1 basically till the final buzzer tonight. And last year, Okoro is your ultimate point though. Like people, I think that it's going to be glossed over what you said there, Justin, but that is the difference between last year and this year is that you're looking in the 3rd and 4th quarter of the 2 playoff series last year and like Okoro, please make this wide open 3. This year, he's anything that you get from Okoro, anything you get from Merrill, even when he's starting, anything you get from Dean Wade didn't score in this series until tonight, and we swept them in 4 games. That these were the guys that you were like hoping were like 4th or 5th level contributors, off the bench last year, or just like in general. Like hopefully Dean Wade could hit 2 or 3 threes last year, and Okoro could hit 3 threes, and we'll have a chance against Orlando and against Boston.
Yeah, and obviously you watch the Celtics with the Magic. The Magic, unfortunately, of course, in this series are a little bit banged up, and are struggling against the Celtics, but I feel like are proving the kind of point of like they're not. I still feel like coming into the playoffs, being the number 1 seed, we didn't really get to talk about it too much, but it just felt like what I was trying to get at with Doris Burke is like people are doubting us, and I feel like have still doubted us through the playoffs about being like a legitimate 1 seed because everyone's just like, yeah, if it ends up being Cleveland and Boston in the finals, it's going to be Boston, because they're experienced, because Jason Tatum, because Jaylen
Won
Brown.
it last year. Yep.
Yeah, and I feel like their struggle against the Magic because all of their games have been very close. I don't think Game 1 was I can't remember the score for that one, but I think that might have been their greatest margin of win. And then I feel like single digit wins have been everything else. And then of course they've lost 1 game, but the Cavs getting out early, the Knicks struggling against the Pistons. Like, even if we do wind up with the Knicks, which I think is probably the most likely scenario, I feel like we're just proving right now that getting out ahead of the Heat, getting it done in 4, it really proves that the 1 seed that we earned is legitimate.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you take a look over to the bracket, that's really the only other thing I wanted to talk about here, to be honest, as far as projecting out into the future. It kind of is like it's not like a nothing burger tonight, but it's like, yeah, absolute domination. What else is there to say, really? But the bracket, I mean, it's honestly, this series was a wash. Like just going around. Thunder, they swept actually before us because their series started first. So the Grizzlies, yeah, we knew that, John Morant, whatever, injured, he was banged up. That series, we knew that it wasn't going to be competitive, whatever the outcome was going to be. OKC was going to take that one home. We hold serve on our end 4-0-4-0. The Pacers and Bucks has been pretty lopsided, even with Dame goes down with an injury. I don't really think it matters. Like, feels bad, but does it really matter if they have Dame? Like, it's going to be us and Indy next round, and then the Knicks in the Pistons.
For some reason, we were going to be drawing Knicks Pistons for whatever.
Well, what's interesting is that now, correct me if I'm wrong, Justin. Don't they reseed in the NFL? Doesn't the 1 play the worst seed left? They don't. Why don't they do that in the NBA?
I don't know. It's also like how March Madness works, and it's very like
I guess the Pacers will be 4, but I'm pretty sure this is how they have the bracket set up. This doesn't change. I don't think it's going to be us versus Indy. But like, what if the Pistons beat the Knicks? They have to play the Celtics. Like, that seems kind of dumb to me. But nevertheless, that series kind of boring. Indy's going to clean up there. It'll be us and Indy next round. In typical JB fashion, I mean, I feel bad for I don't feel bad for Knicks fans. Excuse me. I feel bad for Detroit fans because it's like, there's an alternate universe where Detroit is up 3-1 in this series. They threw away game 1. They threw away the game the other night, or whatever, the refs, however you want to call it. And then we know Celtics Magic, that regardless of the Celtics know what they're doing, they're going to advance here. So, just as far as the bracket, both sides, what are you looking at?
Honestly, I feel like I'm on the national media side of this right now. The Timberwolves are just a scary team because of Ant, like being a single dominant force. But at the same time, think about them and think about the Cavs. I think, Jeff, this is going to be the one thing that you would probably drive home in a finals conversation between the two. Ant's probably the better of the 2, Donovan of Mitchell, him, right? Like, easily, right?
I would say that he.
Unless there's any
easily maybe a stretch,
the USA
but
team, but Donovan Mitchell, not. I didn't hear an invitation or anything for him. Ant, kind of a big part of it. So
I hear you there. There's games where Donovan could be the better player,
but at the same time, Rudy Gobert, obviously defensive player of the year in the past. Julius Randle, a guy we've seen have his moments against us in the past with the Knicks. Mike Conley can have his games, and what's his face that's having his way with the Lakers right now? Role player. it's hard to keep track of all these guys' names, but they got a role player who's playing lights out against them right now. But yeah, obviously the east side of it, we know everyone's opponents. Just keep an eye on the west. I would say the Timberwolves are my guys, though.
Really, even after OKC,
I just
good
don't
series.
know
That wouldn't surprise you at all if that was a good series.
It would be a good series. I just think that Ant's got so much juice, and I don't think any of the role players
He's a
behind
good playoff
SGA,
player.
I just don't know that any of the players behind SGA got the talent and the experience as Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley, and Julius Randle, even though that's kind of not saying much about a few of those guys.
Honestly, what's interesting enough, the Ultimate Sports Network, only thing I'm worried about is that Pacers have had our number this season. Here's my thing for the next round, regardless of who, if it's Milwaukee,
you just got to be outstarring them though. Like Donovan's got to, in the sense of like
Halliburton's good. Like Halliburton's good though. Like they have this length that is if I were to build like a team to counter the Cavs, I would build it like Indy.
Well, I was even saying in the regular season, I said the same thing, but at the end of the day, the tick for tack has got to be you. Player for player, you've got to be better. So like,
we still have the best. We still have the best overall player, and like Donovan is better than anyone on their team.
And I think just if you match Halliburton to Donovan, and then you go player from that, I just think that the Cavs beat them overall. I don't think that means that they sweep them. I think that means Correct. They could go to a 6-game series. I wouldn't love going into a 7-game series, but I feel like we definitely win it in 7 no matter what. I prefer 6 though.
My thing with an eventual Indy series is that you're gonna see, and it's so awesome. I think it's personally amazing that just to see how many different opportunities and obstacles and preps that Kenny Atkinson has to do, because the first 4 games of a Pacers Cavs series is going to tell me everything I need to know on top of what I already know. And it seems like everything I already know about Kenny Atkinson, because for me, from now with this rest to the start of the next series, whenever that may be, assuming against the Pacers, he has to keep this team grounded. It was a sweep. It was blowouts. It was 15 plus all the way up to 50-point victories. You cannot go too high on this Miami series. They were the 10th seed. They were 7 games below 500. This is what you were supposed to do. And you saw it a little bit, Garland, regardless of if you thought that was trash talk between him and Hero, whatever it may be, it happened already. I'm not saying that was an ego inflator, but it wasn't nothing. At the end of the day, Indiana Pacers second round series will be completely different than this Miami Heat series. Even though I totally agree with you, and I think the majority of NBA fans would agree with you, that we are substantially more talented. You have more length with Indiana. You have better shooting with Indiana. You have something people aren't going to talk about that needs to be talked about. You have a road atmosphere that's actually going to be legitimate. These games in Miami were jokes. These games in Miami, I felt like I was watching on C-SPAN, like I was watching it on CNN or Fox News. It didn't even feel like a basketball game. I know it's nice down there and there's jet skis and clubs, but like you can't get to a Miami Heat playoff game. Embarrassing. Indiana, totally different story. It's a basketball. The whole state is a basketball state over there. But
let me.
A lot of people saying Cavs in 6. Honestly, Cavs in 6 would be my prediction if I had to make it right now against Indy.
Jeff, let me just interject here really quickly. You mentioned the point about a perfect counter to the Cavs and why Indiana is it. I'm looking at the 4 teams I think we're most likely to play as of right now. Obviously, Indiana next round. They're currently at the same rate of minutes per game as we are for their star players, which is very low. If you go look at both teams, they're both 3 guys over 30 minutes, I believe. And then everyone else under 29 minutes. But then you go and you look at Boston and you look at New York. Their top players, 40-plus minutes, 38-plus minutes.
And Tatum's already been hurt.
Yep. And some of these guys, you're 6th man of the year, is not looking quite so great.
Nope.
So it's very interesting that these are kind of the draws that we're going to be getting in the next round. It might be the freshest team that makes it to the finals.
And Carlisle's underrated. Every year Carlisle is that coach that you go into the year and nobody like thinks of this dude, and then Indy's like been in the playoffs the last 2-3 seasons, under his tutelage.
Conference final last year.
Yep.
I said it last. I said in the. I feel like I said it in the lead up to maybe the last 2 episodes before the regular season ended, but I feel like I said Indiana's a dangerous team at the end of the year because they're very young, they're very like active, and they're just like the Cavs. I just don't know that they have the star power.
They don't have I don't think they have the offensive firepower that, to our extent. I think in the East they're actually probably tied between second and third, them and Boston, as far as like for me, and this is kind of where I think this question is coming from. You think if the Cavs go up 2 on the Pacers series is locked? To me, so here's my playoff philosophy, even from starting with round 1. The 1 seed, to me, it should be more talented, and yes, that's why you're the 1 seed. But when you're the lower seed, you have more pressure because you have to start out defending home court. Your job is to go up 2-0 in the series, and then take a game on the road. If we get to 3 wins against Indy, if it's 3-1 through 4 games, however it slices out, to be totally fair, then I think it's a lock, because beating this Cavs team, to me, Justin, and I know it's round 1, don't want to get out ahead of our skis, but it's like I'm sitting here watching these games and I'm thinking it just seems really, really hard to believe that a team is going to beat us 4 times.
I would lean into, again, Darius Garland, this toe injury.
Yeah.
How much it affects the team. And obviously, I thought Donovan was ending the season very poorly shooting wise. And I feel like this was the series that if Darius Garland was going to go out and he was going to take the absurd amount of, shot attempts that a typical star player would, it would be fine, because this is the team to do it against. And although I don't think he did that, I feel like he did get into a rhythm that will help for, a game against, the Pacers, who are a little bit more quick on the defense and, might have to rely on Donovan getting a little bit, shifty with it.
And honestly, this is why, and I think officially blocked in 100%. If the Cavs win, fast forward, the Cavs, let's just say future, you just, transfer to the future. The Cavs have won the finals, the 2025 NBA finals. I think you look back and you say Ty Jerome is the X factor, because last year when Garland was either banged up or not playing good, Don had really no excuse to himself, in my opinion, not to just take over and shoot the ball. Now you have Jerome. Jerome comes in yes, Darius is going to have to be healthy and playing well for this team to win the finals. No one's disputing that. But even when that's not the case, Jerome is the steadying hand. Last year there was not that. When Donovan had to take over and Darius was not that guy, there was not that. It's totally different this year. Jerome coming in, taking over the offense. You have guys like, DeAndre Hunter off the bench, even though I think in a certain series, I would lean to start him. I know that that's going to be controversial because we just went up in a sweep, but it's like, once again, Max Strus, all the burden is off of him. Even a guy like Max Strus compared to last year, all the pressure is off of his shoulders. He needed to be the number 3 scoring option last year when Mobley and Allen, couldn't put the ball in the bucket.
Every one of those, coming off of the JB corner screens 3.
Yeah, so that's the difference for me. But honestly, great series. 4-0 Miami. I don't know. I felt bad for Spoelstra because it's like he's trying, but he has nothing to work with. Like Hero's a one-on-one hooper. Bam. I don't know. Bam, just not that guy, in my opinion. Like, good NBA player, but not that guy. Everyone else,
I wonder if Pat does like a full sweep of that team now. I would love for in a world like I don't know what Greg Popovich's future is in terms of coaching. If he couldn't coach for some reason, I'd love for Spoelstra to take over that Spurs job and take over.
That is kind of interesting.
But Spoelstra's he's a good dude. I think he is very underrated because of the LeBron years, and you obviously Jimmy plays a lot of into what they were able to do, but I think that just managing who Jimmy Butler was for that many years and being able to get so close to the finals or getting to the championship with him, he's a good dude. I would like for him to end up in the Hall of Fame and all that jazz. So,
and honestly, this is
respect.
This is the modern day NBA, so it's kind of tough because I feel like I'm kind of an older school type of guy. Like, hey, you're on the Heat, but I mean, come on, I don't like players forcing their way out, is what I'm trying to say. But do you, after you saw that series, do you really blame the guy? Jimmy Butler was not, in my opinion, I think Jimmy on that roster takes a game off us, but he's not. That's it. They're taking one game at most. If Jimmy's on that roster, I'd be wanting to get out too. He saw the writing on the wall months ago. He's looking around who are these guys? Hero,
well, it's the same team every year now. They just lose people. They've just lost people from that finals team.
Yes,
they didn't add a single player, and they extended Hero, and that was
and that was when
that comment came out of him being the fourth best guard in the league.
But honestly,
absurdity.
I remember when Duncan Robinson was an okay NBA player. That dude is washed. What happened to Jaime Jaquez? He was the next big thing down there. You think he's some homeless guy off the streets of Miami? He doesn't even play. Very bizarre, very interesting. But the Ultimate Sports Network is right.
There'll be a real team next series.
We are Bucks fans moving forward. You just want that series to extend as far as it can. I want that series to go
Giannis
7.
Needs to start beating some allegations in my mind.
He'll be beating some allegations when Indy cleans up in 5, and then he either ends up on
Warriors
or Oklahoma City.
That'd be stupid. That wouldn't be good. That wouldn't be good at all.
How not? Him and Chet 4-5.
I just don't know that Giannis can coexist with anyone else. When they won, Chris Middleton
he would have to take a back seat because it's Shea's team, but he would have to take a back seat.
Do you think he could do that though?
I think he could. He looks I'm watching him play the other night, and I totally agree with you. He looked like trash the other night.
I don't know.
I texted MZC the other night. I said Giannis looks washed. He couldn't even make layups.
I mean,
a net. He might as well go to Greece than be a net.
Be a net. Ew.
They won't rebuild that. Just give him throw picks at him. I don't know. Milwaukee. My thing is, and people go, oh no, you never want to give any credit. You're a Cavalier fan. You never want to give credit to the Cavs. You're the biggest Debbie Downer on Nathan. The East is soft, man.
Oh, this year? Yeah.
The East is terrible.
In comparison to the West, dude, the West is so interesting. Are you
get to the Eastern Conference Finals? Let's go.
Everything outside of the OKC series, that Western Conference is very interesting. Even though the Timberwolves are up 3-1, that series is so fun to watch because it's proving all the people who are just oh my god, worst trade ever, Luka, blah blah blah. Luka's been so poor on defense. It's that dude was justified. The only problem is the way he went about making that trade was stupid. The fact that you didn't get Austin Reeves or multiple first round picks for Luka Doncic and you just got Anthony Davis is really stupid. But at the same time, his reasoning of it makes so much sense when you watch.
Fabricated trade, but yeah, the Nets are the betting favorite for Giannis's next team, whatever sense that makes.
They have picks, and he didn't have a trade clause.
Literally, but I mean, you got to think and here's my thing.
I feel that's not a thing in the NBA. I feel that's a thing in the NFL so much now.
You got to win games anyway. But it's like Cavs and Boston this year. If you're a betting man, Cavs and Boston this year, and it's not totally implausible that it'll be Cavs OKC. But the problem is that. And I can't believe I'm even saying this because I think the Cavs could get better, but OKC has all those assets. OKC could get better than they were.
Here's the nuclear option over there.
Kevin Durant.
Motherfuckers bring Kevin Durant back, and he rebuilds his legacy.
But I think Durant can coexist with a backseat role more than Giannis. I actually do.
I think he's already. I feel like he's already.
He's kind of checked out, not checked out, but yeah. He just wants to stand there and shoot.
I feel like he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm okay with this," and then they're like, "But make sure you bring in someone who can really support like the two of us." And then they brought in old ass Bradley Beal.
Or trade like everything for Cooper Flag. But getting down the rabbit hole now.
Yeah, true.
All right, final thoughts here before we wrap.
We're going to draw the Pacers. I really hope we get the series of Tyrese where he absolutely just is dookie from three, because it'll be a lot more fun for us that way, because he'll be poo-poo, and I can say that Darius Garland's better. But hopefully DG is good to go, and we roll.
Yeah, Darius Garland health. Hopefully that game that series extends as far as possible. I think we're clear betting favorites even in that series.
I really do wish it was like a West Coast game, so it could be like, we just beat your ass from coast to coast, post to post. You know what I mean?
That's enough. That's simply enough. But yeah, I mean, Indy's length is going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting series to watch. All right, we got to sign off here. If you're in the chat, appreciate you. MZC, Benchwarmer Sports, Ultimate Sports Network. Who else up here? PZTV, everyone over on the X Bird app. Thanks for tuning in. Like button, comment down below, subscribe, follow the Twitter, subscribe to the YouTube, post notifications on. We appreciate you being the pulse of it all.